Everyone step outside, Goku said as he walked forward, the electric bolts around his body only seeming to grow more fierce. Goku, we can help, Krillin rushed to say before he felt Yen place a hand on his shoulder. Krillin looked back and just saw Yen shaking his head. We would just be in the way, let's go. Krillin didn't really want to go but relented, taking one last look at Goku facing down the androids before rushing off to help Trunks with Vegeta. Krillin didn't even register what happened next as he suddenly felt a shadow cast by him and stopped. He felt his blood go cold as he turned to see what had cast the shadow. Frieza stood with his arms folded but his tail wrapped around 18's foot, stopping a kick that was about to be delivered to Krillin that would have been most likely fatal. 18 kicked back as she stood next to her brother, staring at him oddly as if not expecting his power. Watch it, Shiny, you can't be dying again. I need Goku in control before he does something he might regret. So watch your step, Frieza said as he just stood there. Krillin wanted to weigh what had just happened, but Trunks shouting for his help distracted him as he rushed off to help him get Vegeta out of there. Within moments everyone else was cleared from the cave except Frieza, Goku and the androids. Dr. Gero, I suggest you evacuate, the target's power level seems quite higher than estimates predicted. Nonsense, Gero shouted as he ground his teeth staring at Goku and his partner. Goku momentarily glanced down at Frieza and was met with a cold stare that quickly forced him to turn away. Were you about to tell me to leave too, Goku? The Saiyan started laughing forcefully. Me, ask you that? No way, I would never say that. Goku could feel Frieza's eyes on him, but Frieza, not wanting to be distracted, ignored it for now. We will talk about this in training. That one sentence sent a chill up Goku's spine. In case you're done over there? There's still a fight that's supposed to happen, 17 said, a little annoyed at how easily the two had seemingly forgotten where they were. You can have your domestic quarrel at home. That seemed to irk Frieza as he growled quietly but loud enough that Goku heard him. Goku, if you would kindly step back and let me have my fun. Goku glanced back at the former tyrants. I promise I won't kill them, Frieza said with a small smile, and Goku seemed to stare at him harder, narrowing his eyes. You fine, I promise, I won't. Happy now? The smile on the Saiyan's face seemed to say yes as Goku stepped back. Frieza was glad though that he had dampened some of that fire from seeing Vegeta get hurt, because if these androids somehow managed to prove to be more difficult, he didn't want Goku doing it with a clouded mind. 18 was about to ready up, but 17 put out his arm, stopping her. Hold back a bit, sis, I need to have a taste of it on my own first. 18 was annoyed but simply stepped back and went to pick up her jacket before retreating to Android 16's side. 16 hadn't moved, just staring at Goku, who didn't even seem to pay him no mind as he contemplated what to do. The android knew he had his self-destruct function. But the success was not guaranteed and Gero was in the blast radius, so he chose to stand and watch for now. Frieza and 17 walked toward each other as they stared each other down. 17 stood a bit taller than Frieza, but his aura alone was enough to make up for the difference. They stopped when they were an arm's length from each other. So ready for me to set you straight? Android 17 just smiled, never letting his guard down. I have never fought an alien before, so this should be fun. They both started tensing. Frieza couldn't feel any energy coming from him, which had a part of him on edge because he didn't know if he was powerful or not, and the last time someone with a power he couldn't understand stood before him. It wasn't long before he was defeated. Frieza slowly got into a fighting stance, a mix between his brawler style and a mix of turtle school that 16 immediately spotted. Careful, 17. He seems to be using some of Goku's fighting style. Okay, Peanut Gallery, 17 said as he refocused his attention. He caught the smug look on Frieza's face. replying with a grunt of his own before they disappeared in a blur. They clashed with the others, catching glimpses of them as they started exchanging blows, but with neither of them landing any strikes. For now, strong winds were blowing around and Goku suddenly wished that they had done this outside because of the closed spaces. The two kept fighting as everyone else watched on. Goku was really proud of Frieza at this moment as he was using this fight as practice. He could see Frieza using some of the stances and moves of the Turtle School, something that had caught him by surprise when Frieza had done it for the first time as they were training. He could see Frieza with a face straining focus as if he was trying to remember the move. "Give up now, Frieza," 17 said as he threw another punch that Frieza easily blocked before they engaged in another frantic melee. "Are you tiring, android? I thought you toys didn't get tired," 17 growled in anger before jumping back and firing a barrage of ki blasts at Frieza, but the former tyrant with all his grace quickly stepped back, an arm to his back and one hand and finger raised as he intercepted each blast that came with frightening speed and accuracy. 17 was shocked by such a display as Frieza stood unfazed, surrounded by the settling gust from the winds of their battle. "But like all my old toys, you all get boring eventually." 18 was getting a bit worried now. She had seen her brother using a not so small amount of power on someone. He was not going to be that much of a problem. She was about to step forward before she felt a hand placed on her shoulder by the giant next to her. That would be very unwise, 18 android 16, and he was about to tell her why till he was interrupted by a furious Jiro who was seeing his masterful weapon being played around with. 18. "Don't just stand around, help him." She was hesitating for a moment, seeing 16's eyes not leaving hers as he subtly shook his head. So it was that bad, she thought, but after a small glance at the corner of her eye to Jiro holding the remote and hovering closer to the button, the choice was made. 16 must have understood as he let her go, and she once again took her jacket off and flew a small distance, landing next to her brother. Goku was about to say something, but Frieza only raised his hand, silencing him, but that didn't stop him from muttering under his breath, "Why do you get to have all the fun?" Frieza gave a quick glance back that had Goku quickly rushing to give a wave of apologies. The whole exchange only served to further confuse the androids because the two were acting as if they were not in any danger, dragging everyone into their couple corral. "By the way, what's an android?" Goku randomly asked, stunning everyone, and Frieza couldn't only smack his forehead in embarrassment. The androids were stunned as they all looked around each other, trying to see if he was serious or not, but judging by the look on his face and the way he was scratching his head as if waiting for an answer, they knew this was not some ploy. "You stupid fool!" Jiro shouted, "how could you not know what an android is by now? I have been sending them to destroy you for decades now." Jiro was genuinely shocked and enraged because was Goku dismissing his work and advancements so easily? Androids were supposed to be the next step in power, but after testing I came upon the idea of cyborgs. It took a few iterations, but after decades I have perfected it. He comically pointed at the twins with the remote as if he couldn't see the momentarily fear on their faces as he pointed and waved the object that could end their lives in an instant. On a whim, but these two far outdo my expectations. 17-18's interest were piqued. They knew they were different. Jiro had said he used humans, but never how much. These two, before I found them, were nothing but 2-bit criminals. Small-time nobodies that could just disappear and no one would care. Well, you would think, but I knew I could make them unleash their true potential. The two twins were seemingly not paying attention, but deep down they were hanging off each word. They hadn't heard much of what was their life before, only that they were powerful, and that had led them to question why they should listen to Jiro. But now look at them. Almost perfect. Down to the last cell.